What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into a very special interview with Speedball Mike Bailey ahead of a major match this weekend in Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory against Will Ospreay. I am SEScoops Managing Editor and Brass Ring Media founder Zack Heydorn. Mike, man, it is a pleasure. You got quite the weekend ahead of you. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to chat with us a little bit today.
Hey, my pleasure, Zach. Thank you so much for having me.
So so tell me, like, what goes through your head days before such a big weekend like the one you're about to embark on with Impact, with a big match, a big event, the biggest show of the year for Impact. Like, where's your head at here Thursday, a couple days before the show?
So this is the most calm I will be.
Okay.
So pro wrestling is different from a lot of like major sports, right? There's no off season, there's always a season, and it's not like MMA or boxing where there's several months in between fights. I mean, I have been preparing for this very match for, 6 months, a year. You could
Okay.
push it to my whole career. But I mean, I've been working, I've been wrestling, I've been doing some of my best performances lately. I am ready to go, and at this point, there's very little I can do.
Well, so what does it mean for you personally as a as a pro wrestler, as a guy who really is clicking on all cylinders, like you just mentioned, to have this match against Will Ospreay on this show on Bound for Glory, the biggest show of the year for Impact Wrestling? Like, what does that mean to you, just as a wrestler who's in the industry and working? You say you have a lot of matches week to week, day to day, but do big ones like this stand out in any major way?
I mean, of course, they always do. I look at a lot of matches and moments in pro wrestling as markers, right? For example, I had a match with Roderick Strong in PWG in 2015 that people really liked. And for many years, it bothered me to no end that people would tell me, oh, this is one of my favorite Speedball Mike Bailey matches I've ever seen, even up to like 5, 6, 7 years after that match, until I had another match with Roderick Strong that people watched and were like, oh yeah, that's a lot better. I've had many matches with Will Ospreay, and they've all been great. We had the first one in 2015. It was absolutely fantastic. And then we had another one several years later. If we had one in 2016 and we had another one in 2017, that was even better. And we had one just over a year ago that was even better. But we've both made so much progress within the last year. And so this one is just going to be another chance to show people just how far we've come in just 1 year and just how good pro wrestling as a whole is and can be.
Do you kind of like, because you have those benchmarks as you mentioned, with different talents? I mean, do you use it as like a marker for you personally as a performer, that like, oh man, I want to be up here because Osprey's up here, and I need to be as good as, like, I need to keep pace with him, artistically or physically or what have you. I mean, because you've worked so many matches with him. I mean, how does, like, your career evolve or along with him as you wrestle each other throughout the years?
So for me, it's a personal thing. The only person I really battle against in like a real way is myself.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter like no matter who I'm wrestling, it's my performance that really lets me know where I am, right? So I tend to not compare myself to other people. I am not, in a weird way, a competitive person. Not like I don't have a chip on my shoulder. I don't look at other people as rivals, like, ever. And I mean, even when I did other sports, even in Taekwondo, that was a thing in my head that happened very. I always looked at my own performance, and I don't compare myself to other people. It's really to myself. My one goal in wrestling, my one ethereal goal is to just be as good as I possibly can, which is going to look a lot different than what other people can achieve.
All right. Well, so talk about your opponent this weekend. We talked a little bit about Will Ospreay, but like you, he's on an incredible run, having a great year with some stellar matches. what makes Osprey so special as a professional wrestler? I mean, is it something that you can just pinpoint, like he does X really really well, or he does Y really well? Like what is it about him that um, you know, like you, makes him able to have strong matches with just about damn near anybody?
So, um, I think there's a lot. I think in order to fully answer that question, we'd have to do an in-depth psychoanalysis of Will Ospreay, which would be incredibly
That'd
interesting
be fun. Hey,
because
I'm up for it when you're up for it.
there's a lot there. But I think it's that. So both of us are incredibly ambitious and unwilling to compromise, if that makes sense. Where I think there's a lot of pro wrestlers, a lot of people in life that are, willing to settle. Uh, but Will Ospreay and I are both completely unreasonable in that we literally fight to maintain the level of performance that we put on, even when we shouldn't. And I think that the main example of that is you can't look at main eventing the Tokyo Dome Will Ospreay. You have to look at, it doesn't happen so much anymore, but got booked on a small show in the north of England in front of 50 people, Will Ospreay. And Mike Bailey. It probably still happens more to Mike Bailey, but look at Will Ospreay and you'd be like, oh, he is doing the exact same match that he would do at Wrestle Kingdom. And the, like, how illogical that is what makes both Will and I such fantastic performers.
Interesting. That's a great answer, and that makes a lot of sense without having to psychoanalyze Will Ospreay for for 2 hours. All right, so it's a big weekend for Impact Wrestling, Bound for Glory, biggest show of the year. Talk about just the state of Impact right now through your eyes as a key talent on the show, week to week, someone who's been backstage. It seems like there's some really strong momentum there for this show, but also the roster is just stocked with really exciting talents, and the promotion's been around for so long. So just I'm curious as to just how you see that promotion right now and as it heads into the biggest weekend of the year.
Even outside of Impact, if you're a wrestling fan, you have to notice just how quickly the world of pro wrestling is changing and evolving. It is truly unbelievable, and how far things have gotten from where they were 10 years ago, with like one clear promotion at the top and everything else kind of following suit. Just in the last 2 years,
Yeah,
the landscape of professional wrestling, how much that changed is absolutely incredible. And things like the close relationship between Impact and New Japan is really gonna affect things going forward. It's already started, but I think within that landscape, within the world of pro wrestling, Impact just within the last year has made some incredible strides, and that is definitely a team effort, which is, I can't talk about other promotions, but I can definitely say that for Impact, everyone is working together with the same goals in mind. And I mean, even like individually, people on Impact have been doing great. I think like Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander, who have both through Impact turned themselves into just two of the best in the world, and they're fighting for the Impact World Championship because of it. I think the Knockouts division in Impact is the best women's division in the world. I mean, I think they've been doing some really, really groundbreaking stuff on that front, and that's fantastic to watch. But yeah, I think it's everyone working together that's been sending Impact in such an unbelievable momentum.
It's so interesting. I've interviewed Josh Alexander. There's a synergy, and it's competitive in the way that you'd want it to be, but also, everybody's pulling on the same rope to make the shows as best as they can be. That has to feel good, knowing that walking into that locker room, I'd imagine.
So it really is. It's something that I kind of learned and absorbed in Japan. That I remember there was a Japanese wrestler that was touring with me in England a while ago, and all the other British wrestlers were asking them, so what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal? Is it to go to New Japan? Is it to go to Impact or AEW or WWE? And they were like, no, I want to stay with my home promotion and help it grow.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because the system in Japan is very different, right? You'll start at a dojo with a place, and they will employ you, they will feed you, they will house you for your training, and then you will have a job with them for life. You know what I mean? Which for all the British wrestlers who asked this was really like, oh, I didn't know it could be this way. And I think a lot of people in Impact really feel that way. We can feel the growth right now. So it's about, okay, we're going to perform to the best of our abilities. We're going to get even better as individuals so that we can help grow Impact into what we want it to be.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Last question. You talked about kind of like the change that the wrestling industry has been under and it's been so fast the last two years plus. Um, what, aside from like just, AEW being a thing where 5 years ago it wasn't, obviously marks a significant change, but what else has led to that kind of shift? It seems to me like technology is a big one where you can get really great wrestling pretty easily. Like, you can Fight TV, this weekend is going to have a lot of great wrestling shows, and you're on a ton of great, different promotions. You can see a lot of it. Is that kind of like the change you're talking about? Or if so, cool. If not, like, please kind of detail out what you mean by that. Cause I think it's an interesting topic.
So social media is definitely a huge part of it, and how much easier it is to reach a global audience now through things like YouTube and Twitch. And you know what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
wrestling is only on a specific station on cable and that's the only way to get it, I mean, it's good that it's available there, but that means a lot of people can't access it. I mean, Impact Wrestling has done a great job putting their stuff out on YouTube and on so many platforms, the Zone, for everyone to be able to see. But I think the main difference between wrestling now and the way it's going in wrestling, let's say 10 years ago, is we're getting a lot closer to where we should be in terms of equal opportunities. And I think,
Yeah.
man, if only 10% of the world's population fit the bill in order to be a successful pro wrestler, because only one person's vision gets to decide who is, then that really fucking sucks, because there's a lot of pro wrestlers right now that would not have been let into the community and given an opportunity, that are absolutely killing it and are the best part of professional wrestling right now. And I'm talking about gender, sexual orientation, diversity, like just size is the biggest
Yeah.
component. Uh, if you have to be over 225 pounds to be a wrestler, wrestling is gonna fucking suck. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, like the knockouts division is the best example, and that's something that I've looked at for a long time. Impact has always been at the forefront of women's wrestling, but while American women's wrestling was not given a chance and not allowed to grow in like the early 90s, women were selling out the biggest venues in Japan at the exact same time, and that's absolutely mind-blowing. And it's a shame that American wrestling was so backwards that it took us this long to catch up. But yeah, no, I definitely think that equality of opportunity is something that is happening a lot more right now. There's still a long way to go before everything is how it should be, but I think that is having the biggest impact on why wrestling in 2023 is the best it's ever been.
Fantastic. Great answer. All right, Mike, we will let you go. This weekend, it's Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory, biggest show of the year, live on pay-per-view and Fight TV. Mike Bailey versus Will Ospreay. Alex Shelley defending the Impact World Championship against Josh Alexander. The Impact Knockouts World Championship on the line. Trinity defending against Mickey James. And so much more. Again, it's this weekend, October 21st at 8 p.m. on Fight TV. Mike, thank you so much, man. Good luck this weekend. It is a pleasure to talk wrestling with you. You are artful in how you talk about it, just like you are with it in the ring. So I appreciate the time.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for having me and letting me go off on a rant so much.
Oh, anytime, my friend. We'll see you later.
Thank you.